It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
The 4 o'clock hour is here.
It's fun time!
And you're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Being around these young guys, Cody Williams is from Arizona, Ace Bailey's from Chattanooga, went to small part of New Jersey for college. I think there are kids who are just fine saying, Shea's getting his in Oklahoma City. I just want to carve out a niche where I can get one.
That's what I'm saying. I think the priorities have changed a little bit.
Yeah, which credit those kids. What they've been peddled, or what maybe previous generations have been peddled, does not have to be the truth. All of those little pieces help. And I think changing it and the Jazz maybe being good enough next year to justify some of it, I think would be a good sign.
This is Jake and Ben on 97.5. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. How did I not know this? Donovan Mitchell is engaged? Who's
To a Grammy singer.
Yeah, Coco Jones. Is she relevant?
She's a Grammy Award winner.
Pretty sure we've talked about it on the show.
Have we?
Yeah.
I had a story that went very viral. It's one of our biggest stories we've ever had at KSL Sports.
Engaged to a pop singer.
She was sitting right under the basket. He gave her a big old smooch right after.
The NBA tweeted out a video of her cheering for him. Good for him. Donovan found love. Mm-hmm. Even more reason they're going to mop the floor with the dang Knicks.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you're
Donovan's
rooting for it.
Going to the finals.
Donovan!
I know you want my Knicks pick to be wrong. Pick Knicks before the season.
I picked Cavs before the season.
Yeah, we got a lot on the line
That's
now.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Go Cavs.
I'll be curious. I'm really heavily picking the Knicks. I think the Knicks are a much better team, but I could be wrong.
They haven't played anybody, so we'll see how it goes.
Correct. It's the East. No one's played anybody.
Well, Philly is particularly nobody. They shouldn't have gotten out of the first round.
Who did they beat in the first round?
Old
Philly
Boston,
beat Boston.
who imploded.
Who did the Knicks beat in the first round?
Hot Atlanta.
Beat them by 50 in that final game. Yeah. Okay.
That's when we found out about
You're right. This is a much tougher test for the Knicks than what the Cavs have faced. Cavs should be a little bit more playoff tested. Back-to-back Game 7s to win to get here.
Yeah, well, they're a better team than Atlanta and Philly. I don't even think that's that much of a hot take. Doesn't even have to be Tuesday.
No, I think you're right.
But we did find out Quinn Snyder's nickname in the Knicks-Atlanta series,
Right.
which was the best thing about the Hawks in that series.
It's the only thing we
No
got.
treasure is silver and gold, mate.
It's the only thing we got from the Hawks in that series.
That's an awesome nickname for Quinn Snyder. Who hates nicknames?
Yeah, we'll take it.
Do you think he'll cut C.J. McCollum just because of that?
Yeah, CJ's career's over. He's going to be playing in China next year. Yeah, I forgot that the Cavs had to beat the Raptors in Game 7 as well. Now, they came back and won at home in Game 7, but that's a lot of games to play. They played 14 games. Knicks have played. They swept Philly in the second round. They've been off for, it seems like, a week and a half now. And then, 6 games to beat the Hawks? 5 games to beat the Hawks? So, must have been 6 because they beat them, I think, in Atlanta to close it out. So, they've played 10 games to the 14 for the Cavaliers. I'm not sure that's a big deal at this point. It's going to come down to depth, though, and who plays better between Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. And it's pretty evenly matched. Those two players are quite similar.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell is stopping Jalen, nor vice versa.
Correct.
Oh, Donovan!
Who will be guarding Jalen, I think, is a different story.
And who's guarding Donovan?
Yeah, I don't think they'll spend much time guarding one another.
No,
if I
certainly
had
not.
If I had to make a
And they
guess.
should both average 27, 28 points a game.
And the Knicks, their overall defensive rating was really good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they were like third, right?
Uh-huh.
So it was really good. So maybe this point is a moot one. But listening to Sam Merrill earlier today on the station, he was talking about how difficult it was to play against Toronto and Detroit. Mm-hmm. And he actually made it seem like Toronto might have even been the more physical team than Detroit was, which, you were talking about Darren. Maybe there's some truth to that because he didn't really show up in that series. But maybe going up against the Knicks, who are not quite as tough as those two teams
at all,
might be one of those things that could be kind of advantage Cleveland, like swinging with the donut in the batter circle.
It's a breath of fresh air.
Where they're not going to quite have as difficult a time. Now, that's selling Bridges and Hart and these good defenders a little bit short, I know. And there's a reason that the Knicks were top 5 defensively in the league. So maybe this, like I said, is a moot point. But I think it's key for Mobley and for Jared Allen to make life as difficult as Karl Anthony Towns as humanly possible. And that's the weak link, I would say, with New York.
If the Cavaliers win, it will be because either or both Jared Allen and Evan Mobley have a big series and hurt Cat. Cat should be extraordinarily exploitable in the playoffs.
In this series, you would think so.
Yes, if you have a big man who wants to play like a big man, Cat will acquiesce. He's not going to be able to defend the pick and roll. He's never done that particularly well. He can really torch you offensively. But if you want to attack the rim, which Jarrett did amazingly well yesterday, you can win the series.
You're going to take back all the bad things you said about him?
I just said I didn't think he was like a top 10 center in the NBA. Last night, he was by far the best center on the floor.
I don't remember it like that, Christian. Do you? I think he was clowning him up and down the
like
radio.
that?
Said he shouldn't even be in the league.
You said he stinks, I'm pretty sure.
You did.
My wife loves Jared Allen because he was really nice to her at a rookie symposium or rookie Rising Stars challenge. So she's a big JA fan, just like you. He's like a nice guy. You heard his voice after. He's a dork.
I'm pretty sure he was listening to the show.
Maybe.
And he did to you what J.J. Paterka did to Cole Bagley. Oh, no, it was Mackenzie Weegar.
Yeah,
That's right.
Mackenzie
It wasn't Paterka. It was Weegar. What Mackenzie Weegar did to Cole Bagley. Jared Allen was like,
Ben doesn't think I'm good?
Angie's husband is off his rocker. I'm gonna go put this team out of the playoffs.
Jared Allen in the playoffs so far, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. But was really great last night. I mean, they needed a number 2 to step up, and Jared Allen was that number 2.
Well, he has a chance in this series to make a big impact. We'll see if he does. Jalen Duren had a chance to make a big impact against Cleveland, and he did not.
Absolutely failed.
So, I don't know. Both conference finals should be pretty good.
Yeah, this is what I think you would hope for.
From a game standpoint, I'm not with you on the East has a chance in the finals. I don't think.
I wouldn't pick either of them.
No.
But these two teams are going to absolutely maul each other in the West.
It might be the worst finals we've seen since LeBron made it the first time.
And lost to the Spurs?
I think it got swept, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. It could be, certainly could be. I guess it matters if the Spurs make it out. I don't think the Spurs sweep if they make it to the finals. Thunder, I guess, conceivably probably could. But they're a bad matchup with the Spurs specifically. But, yeah, I like the storylines in both of these. In the West, there's a real question of who's the best player in the world. Shea just won MVP, his second MVP, won that yesterday. And Wemby, to my surprise, finished third. He actually finished behind Nikola Jokic, I believe, who got second place. I was surprised Wemby fell all the way to 3 there. I thought he deserved to be number 2. And then in the East, it will be Donovan Mitchell and the Knicks. I mean, that's the conversation. Donovan is a New York guy, and that's not going to go away. And I do think there is a world where actually it's worse for the Cavs that they are now going to feel somewhat obligated to pay James Harden for the long term. James Harden is usually better to date rather than to marry.
Well, how dumb are the Cavs? Dumb enough to make the trade in the first place, I guess.
Yeah.
Because can you really? What is he? Does he have a player option this year, or is he a free agent?
I think he has an option, so he could opt out. And he's going to threaten, I'm going to opt out unless you give me an extension.
And it'll be one of those things where you can only go over to the cap to re-sign your own player, and you're not going to let him go out the door for now.
Right. You've got his bird rights, so you might as well pay him.
Well, bird rights disappear after you leave your first team, right? Or
no, you can acquire bird rights. You have to be there for, maybe they don't, because I think he has to be there for a year.
I think you do too, but bird rights in this case don't matter because he's not going to get a max deal. and he's not.
But
gonna
they are over the cap.
But you can go over the cap to sign your own players, so they can sign their own free agent, even though they are over the cap.
Which is bird rights.
They could not sign a free agent
Otherwise. Yes. He's got a $42 million player option. He might just pick that up. That's a ton of money.
Well, yeah, but he's a clutch guy, so maybe he's going to twist some arms.
But he would probably rather have 3 years and $90 million.
Yeah, the Cavs wouldn't.
That's probably the offer. I mean, James might say, give me 3 years and 90, and they say, go find your $30 million on the market, and he probably won't be able to because nobody has salary cap space, unless he's like just willing to go to Chicago or something crazy, which maybe he is, just to say, I'm a mercenary, I'm trying to make as much money as possible. That might be what he cares about.
But would Chicago want him?
No, I wouldn't think so. I don't think anyone's going to want him other than the Cavs, and he'll probably end up, maybe he picks up that $40 million option. We'll see. Those get tricky. It's really a weird spot for the Cavs to be in. But they just made the conference finals and are going to feel obligated to keep this roster together, I think.
Well, yeah, I think the talk of trading Donovan Mitchell will quiet. Maybe a sign-and trade for James Harden? I don't know. Because what do they do when this fails to get it over the hump? Because whatever, it's going to fail. I mean, you can call it fool's gold. Do you keep moving? I mean, you're in the position where, Kevin O'Connor was back with the Boozer Darren Williams era, where do you just run it back, or do you tinker, or do you even have the ability to tinker, which is what we're talking about. Because if you keep James Harden, you just don't have the ability to do anything else.
You're exactly right. I mean, this is where Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith and Justin Zanuck decided the Jazz were, which is, again, I really highly do recommend listening to the Bill Simmons and Ryan Smith conversation from last week as soon as our show ends, where Ryan breaks down exactly the conversation he had with Danny Ainge, which was, how much further do you want to cut into your assets going forward to keep Donovan and Rudy together? How much are you willing to continue to hemorrhage, essentially, to try and keep this group together? And it kind of sounded like Danny was saying, Ryan, this team will never be good enough. You can keep investing, but you're just putting more Band-Aids on a fatal wound. And Ryan listened and said, "Okay, we got to lop off the leg. We have to save the patient, but it's going to be really painful." And they did. And now they're back to being a team that looks like it's very promising. And Cleveland is now at the point where, even though they just had their best win since LeBron left, there is still a wound that is bleeding. And are they going to continue to be able to put Band-Aids on it? Because, to your point, like you said earlier, while I would give them 10% chance of winning the finals, 5% chance of winning the finals from where they are today, just because injuries happen and things do happen, once you get to the summer, if you don't win the finals, your team's going to get worse, inevitably.
You talking about team building, you know what it reminded me of? Or, rebooting it and going back. It reminded me of the Three Amigos, that one scene where, who is it, who's locked up in chains and gonna make it? Uh-huh. Gonna make it? Uh-huh. Gonna make it? And then gives up and goes all the way back.
Did you watch the Martin Short documentary on Netflix?
No, is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I watched it yesterday.
He's very funny.
He's great. It's very charming. It's a really easy watch. It's not a tragedy. There's sadness. His wife dies and stuff. There's things like that. But it's pretty easy. It's a pretty good watch.
Gonna make it?
I'd recommend it.
Gonna make it?
That was his first movie. I didn't know that.
Really?
That's what he says.
Jeez, home run right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm. And they talk about what a failure it was.
Not his best movie, but still a classic.
So I'll be curious if...
You shot the invisible swordsman.
I will be curious what...
We fired up.
Cleveland feels like they have to do. Because had they lost last night, we're probably talking about a team with a different perspective on itself. And that might be the real flaw in how teams operate. Mm-hmm. Did last night really change a whole lot? You beat a Pistons team that's extraordinarily flawed, that at the trade deadline also basically made a coin toss and said, what should we do? Should we go out and add a piece, or should we sit on our hands and see actually how good we are? And they realized they're good enough to get to the second round of the playoffs and not good enough to advance past it. Even with home court advantage, even with the top record in the East, they were not better than the number 4 team in the Eastern Conference, which means you're probably about the number 4 team in the Eastern Conference. So do you need to go add a piece this offseason? That was a decision that Detroit made. Cleveland benefited from that by beating Detroit. but they're going to base their team-building future now off of getting to this point, and I don't want to say arbitrarily, but maybe a little bit arbitrarily.
Well, they're going to beat the Knicks.
You think they're going to beat the Knicks?
They're going to be in the finals.
And look, if you make the finals, I totally endorse keeping your roster together. If you don't, I'm not sure I change a whole lot of what my perspective was, but this is the argument you always make, and I think it's the smart one. If you're going into a season saying, well, this coach has to do X, Y, and Z, otherwise we're firing him, just fire your coach. You've got the wrong guy.
Yeah, you're talking yourself into it.
If you are talking yourself into well, if we make the Eastern Conference Finals, then we have the right roster, you probably don't believe you have the right roster.
But you will do that for the finals?
I think the finals are close enough to winning a title that you think you can continue to compete. The further you get, the more I do believe it. If it was just, is Donovan the right guy? We got to get to the conference finals. He's never gotten there before. I've seen enough fluky conference finals teams. There's not a lot of fluky finals teams.
Sure there are.
Are there?
Yeah, the Knicks?
When?
When they were the 8th seed.
Yeah, they beat the Miami Heat. That was the 1 seed. They took the Rockets to Game 7.
Okay.
That's not fluky.
It
Go to
is
Game
fluky.
7? No, it might probably more fluky that you ended up at 8 than it is fluky you get to the finals. I'm more likely to believe that. The Miami Heat as the 8th seed getting to the finals in the bubble, fluky. That's the bubble.
Well, the Miami Heat team that got to the finals outside of the bubble was super fluky too.
Which one?
The last time they went to the finals, who they play? They got
Golden State?
I'd have to go back and look.
Did they lose one to Golden State?
I think it was the Nuggets, right?
Yeah, they lost to the Nuggets. You're right. That wasn't it.
That wasn't
right.
in the bubble.
Did they make 2 different finals?
They did. So does that cancel each other out?
Yeah,
They
then that
both
can't be fluky.
They were
You
both
can't make
fluky.
the finals twice and be
2
fluky.
finals runs
They were
within
both.
like 3 years?
They
No,
were
that's a great team.
The
It's
bubble
a
doesn't
very
count.
good team.
And
then they proved it outside of the bubble. So no, I'm disregarding that
through
being
a
fluky.
ridiculously terrible East again, an underperforming Bucks team and all that stuff.
Sure.
And then they lost to the Nuggets, who honestly weren't the greatest title-winning team either.
I think they lost in 5. But
So, yeah, there's fluky teams that get there 100%.
less inclined to believe that. And there are way
Chris
more
Paul's
that make
Suns team was super fluky with DeAndre Ayton as their center.
They beat the Jazz, or they beat the. Who did they beat in route? They beat the Nuggets, and then they beat the Clippers because the Clippers beat the Jazz to get to the conference finals. Must have been. Mm-hmm. And then they beat them, and then made the finals and beat the Heat.
And that was a super fluky season.
That was the year after COVID. That was a weird season. That was a little extraordinary. I'm less inclined to believe the teams fluke into the finals. A lot of teams fluke into the conference finals. And I'm not saying Cleveland even fluked into the conference finals. In fact, there was a good quote last night from Kenny Atkinson talking about how this team, he didn't say they weren't fluky, but he does describe why they made the finals, and he gives specifically a lot of credit to Donovan Mitchell. I thought this was interesting.
That we lost, we turned to you. Not just your on-court, but your leadership and your positivity when things were really not going great. And so whether we won or lost tonight, we never celebrate you in these things. You don't want that. You don't want the praise. But tonight, you deserve the praise. And you're going home. And you deserve this more than everybody. Everybody played great. Come on, man. Let's go.
Hey, enjoy it.
Yeah.
But like, we didn't just come here just to do this. We play Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? So like, tomorrow we land. Enjoy it, and then we.
So Kenny Atkinson there praising Donovan Mitchell. And I do think that happens, and I think that is interesting, where we see a team underachieve and then reach the promised land or whatever, that next feat, the next year. Sometimes you do have to go through those lulls. And last year they won 64 games or whatever it was, and then didn't get swept by the Pacers, but lost quickly to the Pacers in the playoffs, lost their first 2 games at home in the second round, and Indiana goes to the finals. And then they make it back in the next season. And Kenny Atkinson crediting Donovan's leadership, I think, is probably a sign of growth for Donovan, because I'm not sure that's what you were going to do here.
Do you think Kenny felt like he had to do that?
He's on TV.
I just can't see Greg Popovich saying that about Tim Duncan.
Maybe. I could maybe see him saying
I couldn't see Phil saying that even about Michael Jordan.
Okay. I do think...
I'm just saying, Can
I tell you what the difference is?
He said about Donovan that you don't like it. Yes, he does.
Yeah, Donovan likes it more than anybody.
Yes, he does. That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
Do you feel like, I got to go out and really fluff this guy up because...
Well, yes, because there was a real conversation that Kenny was going to get fired after this season if they didn't have more success because, as we've talked about a lot, they're pretty strapped. They don't have a lot of other pathways to go. They don't have a lot of other directions to improve their roster, and the logical one that doesn't apply to the cap is fire your coach. And there was some talk that Kenny could be out. You're not going to fire your coach after he makes the conference finals. So, yes, I'm sure Kenny, while he says, thank you, Donovan, for getting us here, he's probably saying thank you for saving my job because you made me look smart, which I think is probably true.
I don't know. When the Bulls beat the Cavs, that was a second-round matchup, right? When Michael Jordan hit the shot over Craig Elo. Or not Craig
Elo.
Craig Elo.
Yeah.
I believe that was the second round. Could you see Phil Jackson being like, he's made it. All the detractors of what they said about you. I know you don't like the attention.
I think it was Doug Collins.
You're amazing.
And I can absolutely see Doug Collins saying
Maybe
that because
Doug Collins.
also Doug Collins was about to get fired. So, yeah, I can absolutely see Doug Collins doing it.
Maybe
if you have job security, you don't have to say that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doug Collins running around, yeah.
It just seemed like, wasn't Kenny laying it on a little thick
Absolutely
there?
he was.
Didn't that feel like
and
he was?
This isn't the... Sometimes these videos leak, and it's from, like, the security camera inside. No, this is a handheld. Like, you can see the camera shaking around. He knows Jeff Bezos is standing behind him with that Amazon camera watching. So, yes, this was his chance to give a post-game speech crediting Donovan. I don't like that he says you get to go home, because they're talking about not going to Cleveland, talking about going to New York. Now you get to go play at home. I'm trying to separate that out from Donovan.
Oh, the place he tried to force his way to for years?
Several times.
Isn't he from Connecticut?
He's actually from Connecticut, yeah, but grew up in New York. So,
it's not exactly Queens.
But Kenny is laying the storyline down already.
Yeah. Okay. Good for you, Kenny.
Got another year.
Got to get your team ready to go.
Got another $7 or $8 million next season. Because you won Game 7. I'd be thrilled too.
I just know if you were on TV talking about me, it would sound a lot different than when you were off the air.
I would say I was the most important reason we got here.
No, that's your on the
Ben
air
Anderson,
or off the air?
On air.
On air.
I'm going third person. I knew Ben Anderson could do it, and Ben Anderson delivered. We're going
like Ben Anderson does every time.
Eastern Conference Finals.
Stay tuned. More Jake and Ben coming up next. We'll talk Cavs with a radio show host. Let me grab his name. Apologies. Nick Wilson, Cleveland sports radio host, starting at 5 o'clock, 5:05. Stay tuned. More Jake and Ben next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Not only do these guys give you the best jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Why does everybody have a naked friend? Why is that a thing?
I don't think we need to make it a thing on the show.
Okay, I'm just saying. You were asking why were they always naked in their music videos? And it was like, well, Flea was always naked for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
He was more in the briefs, right?
I don't know. I think he kind of did everything. But everybody had a naked friend. I don't know why. And nobody is the naked friend, but everybody had one. How's that possible?
Somebody's lying.
Somebody's lying. But I was not it. You were not it. Christian was not it. That leaves Lloyd.
I'm not speculating on Salazar's personal life.
Okay.
I'm just not going to come along with it. I don't want to know, frankly.
Yeah.
When do those people grow out of it?
No, they go to prison.
Lloyd just said no.
No?
Yeah, they go to jail.
Well, you think about those music videos. They're running around town
nude
in the buff.
Yeah.
That would land you in prison, no?
Now.
I think back then, too.
Late 90s, it was totally cool.
I don't think it was.
No? I was young.
I did have a buddy who streaked through the library in college.
Knew a couple of kids at Highland who streaked from the third floor down, which was impressive.
But we all agree that those people should be beaten up, right? Even my buddy.
I don't know if any of them turned out well.
Certainly the people that do it at sporting events.
At least your friend was already in college when that happened.
Yeah, right.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. I guess. Again, I'm totally uncomfortable with this conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Ben, I get it that the Locked On Wizards guy created a lot of waves in the Jazz talk snap world over the weekend by basically saying the Jazz should give up the 2 pick and Ace Bailey and a future first if they're going to move up to number 1. I guess we talked about this a little bit last week, but that still seems to be pretty wild to me. Why would the Jazz do that?
I don't think there's a huge reason. I mean, here's where you could get to on draft night. And again, it's where the logic just really kind of falls apart for me when you break it down. If the Jazz get to June 23rd, it's a Tuesday, it's midday, the Jazz say, oh no, the lottery or the draft is 6 hours away. And we do not like the medicals of Darren Peterson, and we don't think Cam Boozer's a good value bet at 2. We don't think that's a worthwhile number 2 overall pick. You're better off spending some assets and moving up to 1 to get that pick, to get A.J. DiBonsa, not because he's a BYU guy, but because you think he's such a good player, and you don't trust Darren, and you don't think Boozer's a value pick, then maybe you trade up to 1. But at that problem, why would Washington move back to 2? Like, if the Jazz don't trust Darren, they're not going to be the only team. These teams have medical doctors that see the same things. Maybe they see something different, but, a lot of guys, the Jazz passed on Cam Whitmore. So did 10 other teams, 15 other teams. Why he fell to 20. It wasn't like one team saw something. It wasn't that he was reportedly vaping during a draft workout. Teams care about that, but
they come to different conclusions on that.
They can
stuff,
come to
though.
different conclusions.
So,
The Jazz, and this is something that doesn't happen anymore, but the Jazz had Rodney Hood's medical report and nobody else did. And my suspicion is it's because they had connections to Duke through Captain Jack that other teams did not. And the Jazz were comfortable taking Rodney Hood, I think because of his feet. I think he had a foot issue stemming from Mississippi State and transferring to Duke. Or maybe it was a back even. And the Jazz said, no, you got a green light from us.
I think it was his foot.
And that was before the NBA regulated how medical reports were dispersed. The NBA now regulates how medical reports are dispersed. And my suspicion is the NBA has doctors that see them and then say, this is our findings, and here's the reports, and you can have your doctors look at the same findings. But I suspect you get a more consistent or a larger consensus on health for players now maybe than you once did because you get to see, everyone gets to see everything. At least the top 10 teams get to see the top 5 players, and then the top 30 teams get to see the next 20 players or whatever it is.
But here's my point. Creatine cramps aren't a thing. So what does that show up on a medical?
That is the interesting thing.
have to make the evaluation. The different teams make it differently. Joel Embiid fell to 4. Mm-hmm. Philly got Joel Embiid because they were willing to take that risk, and it paid off. Who was the center who was coming out of UConn, national champion Emeka Okafor, that the Bobcats took, and he was total damaged goods. But they took the risk. They said, oh, we're going to ignore that. We're going to make our own calculated decision, and it was not the right one. So I would disagree that all teams are going to make the same conclusions. I just wouldn't let Washington hold A.J. DiBonsa ransom, period, end of story. That's how you become the pigeon. That's how you become the 76ers and get Markelle Fultz and give up multiple picks for the pleasure.
Your favorite line. Desperation is a stinky cologne.
It is.
It's a bad one to wear.
No.
And the Jazz should not find themselves desperate.
Nope. Don't let another franchise hold you hostage. You sell, and because I'm sure they are. If Darren Peterson falls to them at 2, I'm sure they're more than happy to draft him. If he's the best player in the draft, which a lot of people think,
right?
But people are getting scared away by the creatine cramps, and you feel like he's the best player, go ahead and take him. And that's Washington's fault for passing on the dude. Essentially you call their bluff, right? Like, we're more than happy to pick somebody else at 2. And maybe it is Cam Boozer, I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't let a desire to draft the BYU guy, and I'm a local guy, a guy with a relationship with the owner.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody leverage that relationship into you doing something foolish or giving up more assets than you should. That's not how smart NBA teams work. That's how the Washington Wizards usually work. I expect the Wizards, honestly, just to take Darren Peterson.
Okay, I'm going to take. You expect him to take Darren Peterson?
I do.
I think it's very possible. I'm certainly not ruling anything out. I wouldn't rule out them taking Cam Boozer, but more likely they take either AJ or Darren, and I'm totally with you.
But if they can get their guy and squeeze assets out of the Jazz, then they're going to do that.
They're going to try and do that, yep.
Don't be the franchise that falls for that.
Okay, take Nikola Jokic out of this conversation because he was a second-round draft pick. But the 2014 draft goes Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, Joel Embiid is 3. Aaron Gordon 4, Dante Exum 5, Marcus Smart, Julius Randle, Nick Stauskas, Noah Vonleh, Alfred Payton, Doug McDermott. Those are the top 10 picks. If you did a redraft today, who goes number 1?
Embiid.
By 1,000 miles, right?
MVP of the league, yeah.
1,000 miles. Yes, if Nikola Jokic is included in this, who was in the second round of this draft,
sure.
Jokic goes 1. Embiid goes, he has played.
He's light years better than all those players.
Joel Embiid has played 490 games. Andrew Wiggins has played 830 games, almost 400 more games over the last 12 years. That's 5 full seasons. And you wouldn't even think twice about taking Wiggins over him. You wouldn't think twice about drafting Wiggins because he's played a little bit more, because he's not a difference maker.
Nope.
He was a good player on a loaded team and won a championship and was a starter as an all-star for the Warriors because he got the Warriors' inflated vote, but that could have been any number of pretty good small forwards in the NBA. Joel is an MVP. He's one of the greatest 76ers of all time. He's a defining player of this generation. When he's on the floor, he changes the equation. If Darren Peterson can do that, and you think he can do it enough, even if you're worried maybe he's a 65-game-a-year player instead of a 75-game-a-year player, you're just taking Darren Peterson. I just don't think it's actually that difficult of a conversation. You know, if you think, well, Boozer's going to play 70, nobody plays 82 anymore. Get that out of your head. Boozer's going to play 75. I think Darren can only play 72 or 62. That 13 feels like a lot. But if Darren is twice the player as Cam Boozer, who cares?
Your point is don't get into the weeds. Take the best player.
Take the best player. Don't get into the weeds. Joel didn't play the first 2 years of his career. First 2 years, he missed both seasons. Still the best player from this draft by a million miles other than Nikola Jokic. So, yeah, I don't think I think that's easy to overthink, and I think that's where teams do get themselves in trouble. So if the Jazz have Peterson 1 or 2 on their board and are 90% sure on his health, which, look, he had his cramping issues. He said he resolved it. He played after the cramping issues resolved. He wasn't particularly good after that. He had a bad close to the season. By the way, so did Ace Bailey. College players get tired late in their freshman seasons, the same way players in the NBA hit their rookie wall. If you think he's the right guy, take him.
Jazz should hope it's cramps.
Yeah. And give him some pickle juice. You'll feel better.
No, I mean, like, if it's entitlement, that's a whole different problem.
Totally agree.
You know, if we're talking about a foot or a back or, you know, maybe that's Joel Embiid had legit health concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Cramps, like you said, put some pickle juice on it, whatever.
Unless there's something genetic or something that causes you to cramp up that doesn't allow your body to perform. If it's just, hey, this dude gets dehydrated a little more easily, we need to make sure he's getting an IV or whatever it is.
Figure that out.
Yeah, that's easy.
But I don't think that's what it is.
I honestly have no idea.
So that makes it a little bit more challenging. But again, different teams are going to have different calculus on that.
I also applaud these kids, and I mean it, because if I, as a 40-year-old now, have the understanding that I'm driving around in a $100 million vehicle, and this guy says, well, you can park your car in a garage, and a year from now it's going to be worth $100 million, or you can go drive it around for a year. And at the end of that year, it might be worth $100 million. I'm saying, well, why would I change it? Price doesn't change. I'm parking in the garage. I'm never letting it get out. Dante Exum not ever playing a day of college basketball was the right move. It was bad for the Jazz. It was great for Dante Exum. He never got exposed. He never got hurt. What did we learn once he got to the NBA? Couldn't stay healthy in the slightest. That dude was Mr. Glass.
And he really couldn't shoot.
And he couldn't play.
Yeah. He could play. He really couldn't shoot.
Couldn't
he was just
shoot
a
lick.
really flawed
player. But he didn't even test the NBA. Didn't put his body in harm's way. I applaud Darren Peterson. He put his body in harm's way, as did AJ, as did Cam Boozer, as did Caleb Wilson, as did all of these guys. I applaud them. That's a cool thing to do because you don't have to go to college. You can sit out a year. You don't ever have to play. You can say, I'm working with think it was Pelinka, wasn't it? That Exum was working with his year. He's supposed to go to
LA.
Indiana, but he went to Pelinka because Pelinka was Kobe's agent at the time. Said, I'm going to work with Kobe's agent. That way you're going to think I'm Kobe and I'm going to get drafted top 5. And if it doesn't work out, I don't care. I got my millions. And it was the exact right move for Dante Exum. I applaud more players for not doing that because you do put yourself in harm's way the exact way Darren Peterson apparently has. And even then, after the injury, he didn't go park the car in the garage. He brought it back out, not at 100%, and tried to play on it. And it wasn't great to close the season, but if the Jazz feel like it was just cramping and you can get some IVs in him and he'll be fine, or whatever it takes, that's fine. Take him. And by the way, how many minutes a night is he playing next year on this roster?
Oh, probably 20 to 30, 20 somewhere.
Doubt he's getting 30.
Depends on how good he is.
Yeah, if he's great, sure. Right away, maybe he's great. I don't expect anyone to be great right away. What did Ace Bailey average last season? Minutes per game on a wide open roster. Ace played 27. I bet you're looking at 22. Great. Draft that guy. Bring him off the bench. Let him get 22 minutes a night. Dylan Harper. How many minutes did Dylan Harper play this season? He was a number 2 overall pick. Dylan Harper, very good in the playoffs, ready to go right away. Played 22 minutes a night. Say, Darren, we love you. You're going to be the face of the franchise in 4 years. We're going to work you up to that every step of the way. It's going to be obvious after year 2 that you're the guy. Dylan Harper's on a good team. He just played 22 minutes coming off the bench. It was really good for him. We're going to do the same thing for you. I think that would be my approach.
All right, coming up next, we have the Audio Vault, which is always fun. And then top of the 5 o'clock hour for Live at 5, we're going to talk to Nick Wilson. He hosts for 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. We'll talk to him about the Cavaliers and what to expect from Donovan Mitchell going into the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm saying sweep.
Okay. But skunk him. Have him close it out in 3.
Donovan!
Stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
No crazy soundbite slips past these guys.
I came here for the same reason people go to the zoo.
This is another edition of the Audio Vault with Jake and Ben. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. A.J. Brown's on the move, Ben. He didn't go to Jalen Hurts' wedding.
Oh, he's not been traded.
No.
But he will be.
I'm reading into it.
Sure.
I mean, the receiver-quarterback relationship. You know
Important.
What I mean? I certainly would invite them to the wedding.
Did he not get invited?
Well, I don't know. He just wasn't there.
What's worse, not getting invited or not going?
Both are bad.
Yeah, neither's good. If you don't get invited, maybe you can pawn it off as, it's probably just for family. Or, it's people he's known, like maybe just outside of work. Not a big deal. Getting invited and not going seems actually to be worse to me, where I think I would have initially thought the inverse. I could play off why I didn't get invited, but if I get invited, I don't show up, it's personal.
After my own wedding, I decided I would never be insulted for not being invited to a wedding again.
Yeah. No, of course not.
Paring down a guest list
cost a fortune.
It is quite difficult.
And paring it down is hard.
But no show, no regret. It's pretty low.
Did he send a gift?
I don't think you need to, but if you're not going to be there, you have to tell them.
Okay. You have to respond on the RSVP.
And say,
can't make it.
Can't make it. Regret.
Yeah.
All right. Time for the Audio Vault, the best sound of the day. And we've actually been sitting on this one for a little bit, so I'm glad we're getting to it. Because we talked about this story when it happened. But Darren Waller tells the story of his season exit meeting with Mike McDaniel, then the head coach of the Dolphins, and how it was interrupted. So let's go ahead and play Darren telling the story.
I've heard some stories, some portions of the story of you being in Mike McDaniel's office as everything went awry for the Dolphins. Tell me what happened here that you were a witness to.
Yeah. So the week after the season ends, like people that don't make the playoffs, you have exit meetings with your coaches. I get up there at 9:30. and they're talking to Mike. Everything's cool. Like, we're talking about the season, like how much of a roller coaster it was for me, but how excited he was to be able to like have a relationship with each other and coach me and put me in positions to be successful. And I'm talking about next year and changes he was going to make and stuff like that. And so then the meme's at 9:30. It's about like 9:42, and Stephen Ross just like kicks the door and like not even like knocks, like, hey, like what's going on? Just like flings the door open. And then he joins the conversation for a couple of minutes and is like, yeah, it's great to have you here. Like, you don't even need to go anywhere in free agency. Like, this would be great. We want you here. And then the conversation kind of hit like a lull, and he's just like looking at me like, and I'm like, oh, that's that get out of here look. And I looked at Mike, and Mike was like, yeah, we can finish this later, because they were looking for a new GM. They were trying to do a whole bunch of stuff in like a quick period of time. So I thought it was probably about that. And I leave the room, go downstairs and get my massage, wake up an hour later, my phone says Mike McDaniel has been fired. So I'm just like, yeah, it just keeps getting more cutthroat as time goes along.
Man, some of these pro sports franchises are run so terribly. And that's a funny story. But
no, I really don't understand the logistics of it.
If you're going to fire your coach, how do you even let them do exit interviews?
Correct. How does it get to that point?
Yeah. And you don't make an appointment to talk to him or call him to come into your office or do anything like that? You just march downstairs and kick at his door? Like, how is that a thing?
Yeah, I really do not understand the logistics of like the planning and the order of the meetings. And if you can't figure out your order of your meetings, you're probably not qualified to be making some of the decisions to run the team. And if you're the owner, which is the case here, you need to let your people do it for you. Now, again, I know they fired the people already. They were talking about Mike McDaniel being involved in hiring the next GM. And Mike McDaniel thought he was going to be part of
that's right.
hiring the next GM. He thought he was going to be in that conversation. And then the owner comes down, Stephen Ross, and kicks the door in.
That tells me the owner doesn't know what they're doing, like they were undecided.
That's what tells you?
No, I mean, honestly, that maybe there was some truth to, 1 second he's saying we're going to keep Mike around.
Yeah.
And to help us pick out the
that
next
was the
GM.
plan. I do believe they thought that.
And then what? He woke up with heartburn the next day and decided to fire him instead? I mean, that's a really bad sign.
Agreed.
That's all I'm saying.
No, I totally agree.
A really bad sign. Not to mention kind of not professional. I don't know. Certainly. Have you ever been in a room when you got that's the get the bleep out of here look?
Yep. I didn't, but I stayed. But, oh yeah, I've been in some, we should go. I'm getting out of here moments.
Like hanging out with a couple and they're in a row,
Fighting?
in a row, so to speak.
Yeah.
Looking at you like, dude, you should probably get out of here. You stayed? Someone gave you the look, get out of here, and you stayed?
One time. I'm curious if I've ever told someone to get out so I can have this conversation. Probably my kids. Dad's in bad, the bookies. Son, Ben Anderson's in bad, son.
Ben Anderson's in a bad way, boy.
Go downstairs. Go fire up Jurassic World Evolution or whatever you're video gaming downstairs, and Dad's gonna hope he still has the car when I'm done with this conversation. I'm trying to think if I've ever, given everyone the old take a hike. That's tough. I bet you, what's his name? Darren Waller was happy though. You would much rather be the, I'm not getting fired, I will leave guy than the guy who's getting fired. Being told to leave is good. Someone's protecting you.
Mm.
That's a good sign. Being the guy who told him we need to talk, that's actually the bad sign. Hence, McDaniel getting fired.
Yeah.
So you feel weird in that awkward situation. Like maybe you like the guy. As Waller, it sounds like he liked McDaniel. He had a good season coming back from retirement. But you're also at the same time like, glad that's not me.
And I'm out of here.
And I'm out of here. I guess I'm going to go get a massage, take a little nap apparently, and you let me know how it goes. Oh, it went bad? Well, I still got a job.
Well, his comment at the end, he's like, just gets more cutthroat every day.
Yeah.
Did Waller play for them last year?
He came out.
Or no. Is he coming back next year? That's what
he's a free agent.
No, he's a free agent.
Yeah. I don't
but he had a good year this past year.
So funny.
I like that players are getting more willing to talk.
Oh, yeah, with all the podcasts and all
Twitch,
that stuff out there.
Jaylen Brown going on, talking to chat about everything. What do you think, chat? Leave it in the comments.
I don't know if that's really working out well for him.
No, I don't know if it's good for anybody except for us. Again, people working against their best. What's the word I'm looking for? What's best for them?
Their best interest.
People working against their best interests is the best radio.
People making public mistakes. That's what you're
Jaylen
talking-
Brown going after the refs, saying he had the best year of his career, his favorite year of his career, when they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, and he doesn't get to play with Jason Tatum, and they don't go to the finals, is really good for you and me.
Yeah, I suppose.
We're almost like really crappy lawyers.
Streaming with you guys, chat.
Exactly right. The lawyers who need you to get yourself in trouble for them to make money, that's kind of what we do.
Okay.
It's just not as dire. It's millionaires saying funny things on Twitch versus, you
Streaming with you guys, chat.
got a DUI or something lousy.
All right. More Jake and Ben coming up next. We're going to talk a little Eastern Conference Finals with Nick Wilson, host of Afternoon Drive on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Stay
And he
tuned.
talked to Carlos Boozer earlier today. I'm excited to see what he said about booze.
97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.